Kalimera, good morning, and welcome back to Soul Freedom Journeys. And this is episode 16, broadcasting today from the sunny, shiny coast of Penang Island in Malaysia. Welcome, Sisman.
Ah, thank you. Hello, hello, Calimera, everyone. And I'm broadcasting from Bogota, Colombia. Yay! How are you today?
I am better. However, I have to say, when I woke up this morning, I was really feeling in a funk.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
life.
that's life, yes.
That's life. But here you are. Here we are. Yeah, we can. Yeah, so question for you, dear entrepreneur, business owner, or someone who is aspiring to be an entrepreneur. How do you get out of the funk? Because I mean, sometimes it's inevitable. Isn't that right, my dear Brahmano?
See, it is inevitable, and the whole strategy is not to avoid it. I mean, it's going to happen. The better solution is, how do we cope with it?
Correct. Yeah.
How do we cope with it? Yes.
Yes. Yes. So today on episode 16, we will introduce this. Well, it's a very simple technique. I'm gonna share that in a moment. But then we're gonna talk about those moments where we think that we have everything organized. I mean, everything is apparently perfect, and then something happens, and you might get stressed. You might get really entangled in your monkey mind, or that monkey, goes like, from branch to branch, driving you crazy. You may go onto self-loathing mode. What else could happen, Romano?
Uh, there's some other triggers to that. So
Mm.
you can have like the perfect plan, you have time, there's nothing disturbing you, yet the mind just doesn't want to get into gear, doesn't want to do that particular task. So maybe a form of procrastination kicks in and leading to self-sabotage.
Yes. Yeah, this is actually a very common experience. And Romano, you mentioned antagonism between enjoying life and having to do the work. What
Yes.
do you care about that?
Yeah. It's like, I'll give you a practical example. Like last week, I had my whole calendar set up. I had assignments that I need to complete. I had a few meetings, a few interviews, and a few sessions to conduct. So it was a nicely balanced time. However, I also had the opportunity to do other things leisurely, like, for example, climb Penang Hill. So I ate into the time that I had set aside to do the work by going there. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to enjoy life. It was the perfect weekend to go for a hike. It was weather was perfect, the time of the year, everything.
And
So
durian, right?
yeah,
Lots of
durians
durian
also.
for
It's
you
durian
today.
season. So even though we were going to do the durians more formally this past weekend, the weekend before, there was an opportunity to walk through durian farms and to enjoy the durians that were being sold by the local farmers. So it's like all of these things, you might be listening to this going, but Byron, isn't that why we become entrepreneurs? To have that time freedom, like to own our time?
Mm.
Yes. And that's what I thought was the smart thing to do, was to own my time and enjoy life. But is that at the cost of coming back from that and saying, well, now I'm late. I need to pick up the pace on this work that I put aside for 2 days instead of getting it done. So that's the
Mm.
antagonism that I'm referring to. On one
Mm.
hand, enjoying life, and on the other, still being responsible for deliverables and getting them done.
Yeah, well, on the other hand, it's like, like you're enjoying life here, and then your mind is preoccupied about, oh my God, this thing is piling up, and I have to do more, and I'm late, and there is more, and there is more. Okay, you, my dear viewer, can you relate to this? Please leave your comments. What's your experience, and what kind of solution would you like to have? Today, we're going to share a solution that it's very simple and has to do with choices, which is a topic that we already shared previously on episode 14 and 15. So I wonder what is your take on that. And if you haven't watched these videos, highly recommend that you go ahead and do it, because there's some jewels there to take. So Byron, what about choices?
Choices, yes, that is actually the underlying element in that whole antagonistic behavior. And we're choosing one thing over another and then justifying the choice by saying, oh, it's okay, I can go for the hike now. I will come back and finish this later. I have time. So it's a choice based on the available information. And yet the opposite choice is also possible. Like, for example, I could have just told Melinda, my wife, why don't we just hike half a day or one day instead of two? Then I would have had the choice and the reward of being with her, and also the choice and the reward of getting back to work.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's that idea of, well, no, I should choose this because there's that consequence that usually gets us into trouble.
Yes, thank you for sharing that, Romano. And you know what, guys? Actually, one element that gets us stuck about choices is to think that once we have made a choice, that's it. And we have to stick with it. Sometimes, yeah, there are choices that, of course, we got to stick to it because we committed to it, right? However, the really amazing thing about choices is that we can choose again. And by the way, something that we want you to remind yourself about choices is that a choice is a soul attribute. Yes. Because we have soul, we get to choose. It's a very powerful, not just tool, but it's an attribute that actually soul gives us. So then we have all the freedom in the world to choose again. The key is that, for example, Byron gave us, so kindly his example. So then instead of getting stressed, right, climbing up the beautiful mountain and just enjoying the experience, right? You can just choose to, okay, I can choose to relax. And he said it. I could choose to actually maybe cut down the time of the hike. No problem. So there's no way that you get stuck with a choice. You can choose again. If you have a project, the project was supposed to work in a certain way and it didn't, you get to choose again. Actually, in NLP, there is this process called TOTE. Test, operate, test, exit. It's just four simple steps. So the first step, you test, you operate it, you test again. And in this step number 3, you are satisfied, then you keep on doing it. But if you're not, then you exit. Well, then to this, we can add, we can choose again. You can choose again. There's no problem with that. So do not be shy about choosing, and on top of that, asking your dear soul for guidance. This is not hocus pocus, because your soul is your life partner, is your partner in creating amazing things in this physical realm. What can you say about this?
Yes, the true inner voice.
Yes.
The true inner voice. And I know we've talked briefly in previous episodes of the distinction between ego and soul. And that voice that you listen to for guidance, that wisdom, that inner wisdom, is your soul voice. The ego voice is the one that is detracting you from that path that you should be taking, that you want to pursue. I don't want to open up another subject. Let's stick to that topic.
We can talk more about that. Actually, please do leave us your comment and just let us know what subject would you like us to expand more on. And eventually, we will be talking about soul and ego, because these are two elements that are so intrinsic for us as incarnated beings. Whether we are entrepreneurs, business owners, students, just parents, it doesn't matter. It's the same for everyone. It's just part of the setup of this physicality. Yeah.
And if people get tripped up on the whole thing of, the voice of the soul, you can give it another name. You can say it's your intuition.
Yeah.
It's, it's the voice from your heart. There's so many other names that have been given to this voice.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely. So you get to choose over and over. You will never run out of choices. However, when you make a choice, being guided by your intuition, of course, your choice will be of much higher quality. Definitely. And the result will be matching. Your result, it will match, will mirror your choice. So then whenever you get a result because of X choice that you made, then take it as feedback, not as being knocked down by life. Because there again, you can choose how you can see it. It's never about you being knocked down by life. It's about observing, and again, we bring back this TOTE from NLP, test, operate, test, exit process. You can apply it. And then, of course, if say, the second time that you go through your, say, process, project, whatever it is that you're doing, and you still don't get that result, then perhaps it's time for you to hire a professional advisor, maybe get some good advice from people who really have, the experience. So, Byron, you are a project manager and you are a project management instructor, and you teach this, right?
Yes.
So what can you share about this?
There's multiple facets to that. The one I think that is most relevant to this conversation is the whole idea of self-management. And self-management is a function of a lot of things. One of them is having the ability to organize ourselves in line with the goal. And in order for that to work, there's definitely an aspect of things that are conscious and things that are subconscious. Because if we try to manage everything like in our conscious mind, it just doesn't work because there's just too much information to process. However, there are tools that we use, like I'll use simple examples, like we have a calendar, a daily planner, a contact list with names and so forth and titles. What that is doing is it's creating a pattern for the subconscious mind to drive something. So a project manager that is efficient and effective is basically one that has created habits that he doesn't have to think too much about, that will get triggered with certain activities or certain signals. And then it's done. It's like it gets processed. Like, for example, for the ability to call a customer and give them information. So what's the trigger? Then the actual call itself is like a habit. It's the subconscious mind that kicks in.
Yeah.
So I think the main message I want to get across to people here is that the aspect of self-management and making those choices needs to be also supported by habits, which are at the subconscious level, and we don't have to think about them too much. It's like the trigger, we do it.
Perfect. And we get to expand more about habits, subconscious, conscious mind on the next episode. So make sure that you tune in and you watch it. And if you are listening to us on Spotify, thank you also for being part of the community on Spotify. And also leave us your comments. It's very important that you give us your feedback. So we will see you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us. And anything just to wrap up, Romano?
I want to say that even having an attitude is a choice. I have to confess, coming into this recording today, I was not feeling great. I mean, I was really like in this funk, and that was a choice. And I chose to get out of it. And I did things to do so. Like, for example, having a conversation with you, having a conversation with my wife, and walking around and breathing. And then all of a sudden, life got a lot brighter because I chose to change my state.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Resembling the beautiful red color of your shirt. Yeah. Yeah. So, and from me to you, whether you're listening or you're watching this, remember, you get to choose again. You can never get stuck with a choice, and you never run out of choices. You always get to choose again. And hopefully you will choose with more wisdom and in line with your intuition. So all the best. We'll see you on the next episode. Ciao, ciao.
Gracias.
Bye.